The Fire Within, The Rise of Amina Ndlovu, not the woman they forgot. In the rural outskirts of Binakuru, Kenya, time moved slowly. The wind carried the sound of goats bleating, children laughing and life struggling. In a small mud house at the edge of the village lived Amina Ndlovu, a 38-year-old woman whose hands had grown rough from years of washing other people's clothes. Once she'd been full of dreams. She wanted to start a tailoring shop, travel and see the world beyond her village. But after her husband abandoned her and her 2 sons, reality hardened her. Every morning, she woke before dawn, walked 2 miles to fetch water, and then sold vegetables in the dusty market. People saw her every day, but no one really saw her. To them, she was invisible, just another poor widow fighting to survive. But deep inside, under that silence, something fierce was waiting to awaken. And the question that changed everything. One cold evening, her younger son Malik came home barefoot, his eyes red from tears. His shoes were torn, and the other children had laughed at him in school. Mama, he asked softly, why are we poor? Don't you work hard? Amina froze. She didn't know what to say. She just hugged him tightly, feeling the weight of his question crush her chest. That night, after her children slept, she sat outside under the stars. The moonlight touched her tired face. Her eyes filled with tears, not of sadness but of resolve. If no one is coming to save me, she whispered, then I will become my own savior.
The first spark. The next morning, she took the small amount she'd been saving for months, barely enough to buy a bag of maize. She carried them from house to house, selling them under the burning sun. Men mocked her. Greater than. Amina, this is men's work. You should be at home cooking, not lifting coal. But she smiled and kept walking. Every step she took left a mark on the dust road, the path of a woman who had decided to rise, the road of pain. Her journey was not heroic, it was brutal. She woke before sunrise and came home long after sunset. Her feet cracked, her back ached. Some days, she earned less than $1. Some nights, she went to sleep hungry. But every morning, she whispered, keep going, keep burning. And slowly, she began to see a change. Her customers grew. Her savings increased, not by much, but enough to give her hope. The vision. One afternoon, she sat at the market and noticed something. Women were coughing from the thick smoke of traditional charcoal. Children were getting sick from the fumes. Amina thought, what if there's a better way? That night, she borrowed an old smartphone from her neighbor and started watching. Charcoal made from farm waste. She didn't understand everything at first, and she kept learning. She took notes, practiced, failed, and tried again. Greater than. Knowledge isn't only in books, she said. It's also in hunger, pain, and trying. The rebirth. Using banana peels and sugarcane waste, they burned longer, cleaner, and cheaper. At first, people laughed. Greater than, who will buy your trash charcoal? But when they tried it, they came back for more. Slowly, her tiny corner of the market became a movement. Other women began asking how she made them, so she taught them. The storm and the rise. Success never comes quietly. A local charcoal dealer, angry that she was stealing his customers, started spreading lies. He told people her product was cursed, dangerous, a woman's foolish invention. For a moment, Amina's sales dropped. Her savings ran dry. Even her closest friends stopped visiting. But she didn't give up. She went door to door, demonstrating how clean and safe her briquettes were. She even gave free samples just to prove her point. And soon, the tide turned. Within months, the voice that was heard, an NGO working on women's empowerment, heard about Amina's project. They visited her small workshop, just a shack made of tin and wood, and were stunned. They helped her get a microloan, some equipment, and training. For the first time in her life, she stood before them and said, "We may have been born poor, but we will not die poor. Not when we have hands that can work and minds that can dream." That video of her speech went viral online. The return to the village. 3 years later, Amina returned to the same market where people once mocked her. But this time, the same men who laughed now greeted her with respect. Van even asked for a job. Her ex-husband appeared one afternoon too, broke and regretful. He said, "Amina, I made a mistake. You've become someone important. Can we start again? Amina looked at him quietly and replied, You left when I was nothing. Now that I have everything, I only need myself. And she walked away. The legacy of fire. By the time Amina turned 48, Mama Fire had expanded across East Africa, exporting to Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. In Nairobi, standing on stage, looking at hundreds of faces, she said, I was a cleaner, a vegetable seller, a charcoal vendor. People laughed at me, but I learned you don't need permission to rise. You just need to believe that you can. The crowd stood up and clapped for minutes. Tears filled her eyes. Her sons, now grown men, stood backstage, proud and speechless. Malik whispered to his brother, Remember when we asked why we were poor? His brother smiled greater than, Now the world asks how we became rich. Moral of the story. Revenge isn't shouting at those who doubt you. It's proving them wrong through your light. Amina didn't fight with her words. She fought with her work. You can be poor, betrayed, or broken, but if you keep the fire alive, you can rebuild everything. Motivation. When the fire lives within you, life doesn't always hand you opportunities. Sometimes it hands you struggles, and in those struggles, you either break or you awaken. Like Amina and Lovu, millions of people are overlooked every single day. The world passes them by, too busy to see their pain, too blind to see their potential. But here's the truth. The most powerful stories are born in silence, not applause. Amina wasn't born lucky. She wasn't born rich, but she was born with something stronger, the fire to rise. When life stripped her of everything, love, comfort, hope, she didn't surrender. She used the very pain that tried to destroy her as the fuel to rebuild herself. That's what greatness looks like. Not perfection, not privilege, but persistence. People laughed at her. They called her weak. They told her what she could or couldn't do. But every insult became a spark. Every doubt became a reason. And one day, that same woman they mocked stood on a stage where the world finally listened. You see, success doesn't shout when it's being built. It works in the dark, it bleeds in silence, it grows in pain. But when it arrives, the whole world feels the heat of that fire. So, if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever cried yourself to sleep wondering when your time will come, remember this. Your struggle is not your ending. It's your beginning. Every heartbreak, every failure, every rejection, it's carving you into the person you're meant to become. Amina didn't wait for someone to save her. She became her own savior. And that's what you must do too. Don't beg for permission to dream. Don't wait for validation. Stand tall even when your knees shake. Keep walking, even when the road burns your feet. Keep believing, even when no one else does. Because one day, when you finally rise, the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it. And you'll smile not out of pride, but because you'll know the truth. You didn't just survive the fire, you became it. So let the world underestimate you. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Because every great soul was once invisible, until the fire within them refused to stay quiet. You don't need to shout to prove your worth. Your light will do that for you. You don't need permission to rise. You just need the courage to begin. You are not defined by where you start, but by how fiercely you refuse to stop.